Police officer pulls over a man on the highway and is brought to tears by their interaction. Have you ever experienced the fear of seeing blinking blue and red lights in your rearview mirror? Your mind starts to race and your heart rate speeds up as you start to pull over. Then suddenly, you start asking yourself different questions. Am I speeding? Did I make a mistake? Did I hit someone? Once you pull your car to the side, a police officer approaches you. With a shaking head, you give him an anxious smile. You are now mentally preparing to respond to any questions they might ask you. But what if they said something that left you totally speechless? What would you do then? Meet William Jaswinski. William served the Army and is now a war veteran. In his free time, he likes to spend time with his family. And one day, he was pulled over by a police officer, seemingly out of the blue. He was surprised, to say the least. William wondered what would happen next. Before finding his way to the Army, William was an innocent kid. He grew up in the lively neighborhood of Somers, New York. He then studied at Arlington High School. Although at 10 years old, William expressed an interest to serve his country. He dreamed of becoming a sergeant one day in the Army. He imagined being part of the U.S. Army. Any parent would be proud and concerned with the desire of their kids to enter the Army. It is dangerous, but it is also one of the noblest jobs around. So it was natural when William's mother showed some signs of disapproval, and of course she had every reason to be worried. William held on to his dream of being an Army man, and that dream eventually came true. In 2003, during the Iraq War, William entered the Army. Unfortunately, he was one of the 177,194 troops who was sent into the war zone. It was a dream and a nightmare at the same time. William gave his farewell, leaving his family, girlfriend, and his regular life. However, William is still dedicated to his dream, but he is also mentally prepared for the worst. William's family and loved ones did not give up on him, and when they heard that 4,000 soldiers did not make it, they all prayed that William was not one of them. They just want their boy back. Thankfully, William was able to survive the war. He was healthy and safe. After a year of service, he was sent home. William's family and friends are more than ecstatic. However, William was not the same anymore. Things he never saw before in the war create such an impression that he still has a hard time going back to his normal life. It was obvious that he is mentally and emotionally suffering. After his family convinced him, William went for counseling. However, it did not take long before the shadows of his past started lurking again. That was until a strange encounter he had on a lonely road gave him the jolt he never knew he needed. William once again attended his counseling sessions. It was dull, but he needed to be there. He then started his long drive home to Lefers, Texas. His eyes were focused on the white lines on the road. Before he knew it, his body went autopilot and his mind started to wander. In his sad small world, it was his wife and daughter that kept him going. He constantly thinks about how, if it weren't for them, he would not even be alive anymore. The constant memories of the war still haunt him. William then suddenly realized that a car behind him had been following him. It had been some time now. That's strange. William immediately panicked when he realized that it was a cop car. He thought it was a random person following him. His eyes darted to the speedometer. He lightly sighed when he saw that he was not traveling over the speed limit, and luckily the day before he actually checked that his lights were all in working order. William knew that the police had no reason to be following him. He reassured himself that he was just being paranoid. However, a voice in his head is telling him that something is about to happen. However, since the police is not flagging him down, William has no intention to stop. Up ahead, he saw a quieter road. He quickly headed down and turned to that road. He is expecting the cop car to disappear, but sure enough, the police car continues to follow him. He looks in his rearview mirror just to make sure he's seeing it. Now there is no denying that he is being followed. William anticipates that any minute now the blaring sound of the siren will turn on. However, he did not expect the next thing that will happen will unnerve him more. William did not expect he would be in this situation. His anxious nerves are catching up on him. From his experience in the military, it is less nerve-wracking if you know what is coming. So he does not know how to respond to this kind of situation. William just hopes the police car would just move over. 5 minutes passed, but it felt like forever. The police car continues to follow him. There are no blinking blue and red lights. There are no speakers or sirens. It's just him and the police car silently cruising the empty road. Now William plays the waiting game. Then he saw the police car blink its blue lights. He suddenly felt relieved. He is being signaled to stop and pull over. He followed the order and parked at the side. William is expecting that the officer would go through the standard procedure. He is now preparing to show his license and other documents. As the police car approached, William had no idea he would not be needing to show his license in this upcoming strange encounter. The police officer left his car and went straight to William's. William rolled down his window and asked the officer what's the matter. The police officer was polite and explained that there was nothing wrong. However, William noticed that the police officer is looking at something strange on his dashboard. William took notice of it. He saw the police officer is looking at something he holds dear, but he didn't know it is something the police officer also has a story to tell about. During his stay in the U.S. Army, William served as heavy-wheeled vehicle operator. To remind him of his stay in the Army, he placed an American flag on his dashboard. It was a bittersweet memory he will forever cherish. The police officer was looking at said flag. The officer's next action is something William did not foresee. A strange encounter began when the police officer expressed his gratitude. Apparently, he knew William was a veteran, but how did he know that? Instead of a ticket, William received a warm conversation with the officer. It was a casual talk he did not expect. Finally, the officer speaks up why he's so grateful to the war vet. It started when the officer asked William about his experience and time in the Army, and then the story unfolded. The unnamed officer told a narrative that had a strong emotional connection to what William went through. It was so familiar, William feels like he's talking to an old friend. As the officer continued his story, a twist was revealed. The police officer explained that it was not the flag that caught his attention. It was the Army sticker on William's bumper that made him follow the man. In his perspective, William displayed the flag and sticker with the intention to remind him of his military career. The sticker immediately gave the impression that a war veteran owns the car. The police officer was curious to know if the driver of the car at the time was a vet, so he instinctively followed. He did not intend to creep out William. Once he flagged William, he knew he was looking at a war vet. Their conversation started with the police officer asking about his time in the Army. It sounded uncomfortable, but William felt at ease with the officer. He shared that he went to Iraq and did a 15-month stint out of Fort Benning. Then, before they knew it, stories and memories were being shared between the two. After listening to William's story, the officer started to tell his own. Stories that are still haunting him to that very day. When he saw William in the car, it caused him to remember unresolved pain. However, he does not blame William for the negative feeling he's having. The police officer was hesitating, but he shared something personal with William. "My son went to Iraq. He didn't make it home." These are the words William did not expect to hear. He understands how hard and painful being separated from your family is. He also knows the pain of losing someone because of the war. William offered his condolences and help. Recently, William was diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. This is the reason why he attended counseling sessions. PTSD is a very common illness military men and women have. It is not their fault that they experience trauma. Anyone can have it. However, some people discriminate against people with PTSD. William understands the officer and claims that he can help. He just finished a PTSD program. He thought the officer would be needing it too. However, the police officer made the conversation a little bit lighter. He pointed at the flag. The officer claimed that he had bought a flag for his son that they keep in their house, and an unexpected question, or more like a favor, arose. It is something William could not refuse. He sees the shining glimpse in the eyes of the officer. "Can I ask a question? Would you mind stepping out and receiving a hug? You remind me of my son. You look exactly like him," the police officer said. For others, it may be an uncomfortable question, but for William, it was a simple request he could never deny. "Do you mind stepping out and receiving a hug? You remind me of my son. I pulled you over. I thought you were him. I still don't believe it most days that he's gone." These words were enough to make the two men cry. However, did William hug him? Of course he did. As shared in this Facebook post, they had a rather intimate moment. It was not just a hug. It provided comfort and solace for both of them who were suffering. William expressed in his post how he and the police officer embraced each other. They cried to their heart's content. It was a silent moment for a minute or two. They ended up crying on their knees. It was painful, but a beautiful moment for them. Finding someone to share a sentiment that they could relate to is a relieving feeling. They were able to release their grief. They were total strangers, but for William it was comforting and familiar. and at that moment he was able to let go of something that he had been holding back for too long. With the warm embrace they shared, William felt his fears and trauma dissolve. It seems as if all the uncomfortable and sad feelings were lifted out of nowhere, and that all because of a random confidential meeting. The tears they share in the long empty road will be forever embedded in their hearts. William did not know that that moment was the exact thing he needed to release the lingering negative memories. He did not expect that a heartfelt moment would do more to heal his PTSD than any counseling. As they said their farewell, William may not remember the officer's face, but he will be forever grateful to the memory he left him with. As he drove home, he felt happy and light. He cannot wait to share the story of what just happened to his wife and daughter. Sometimes all someone needs to know is that they're not alone, and sometimes this can be found in a chance encounter with a friendly stranger.